joined on the podcast today by Tracy Eyres, Senior Innovation and Growth Specialist at Innovate UK. We're going to be discussing services offered by the Innovate UK Business Growth Team and what this team can offer for Cumbrian businesses. Welcome to the podcast, Tracy.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Joe. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you on. Can you start off by giving us an overview of the whole organisation of Innovate UK and its role in supporting businesses, and then talk about the remit of the business growth team specifically?
Yes, absolutely. So Innovate UK is a national organisation set up to help companies support in their innovation journey. And its mission really is to help companies grow through the development and commercialisation of new products, processes, services, and support through not only Innovate UK's support, but the ecosystem at its widest point. The business growth team offers bespoke one-to-one support for scaling businesses that have an innovation-focused theme that they want to look at. And we help predominantly in three main areas. And that's innovation management strategy. So that's looking at things such as your IP audits, your trademarks, cybersecurity, that kind of area. Funding and finance strategy is really strategic support to look at the business objectives and determine which of our grant fundings is right, or whether we need to go out to the wider funding landscape to look at what will get them to where they need to be. And the last area of focus support is international markets and partnership strategy. And that's done through our Enterprise Europe network, which is one of the world's largest business collaboration networks that we can utilise to make connections with overseas, especially in Europe. So there's lots of support out there.
That's a lot to get your head around there, but you summed it up very well there. Thank you. In terms of the business growth team, what work are you doing specifically?
So the business growth team helps high growth companies to access support such as IP audits. So looking at for early stage businesses, that would be supporting them around protection and doing a roadmap and business plan around how they can look at that protection. We also have IP audits that are part funding and financed. So lots of early stage companies utilise that service. And the grant applications, if there is funding on our platform, we would support in doing an application alongside a business. And that can be going back and forth really between them and myself to critique a good application before it's actually submitted. And then the international side is I help companies. The other day I was helping a company that wanted to set up in Ireland. So they wanted a VAT number and to look at premises. So we reach out on the platform to an equivalent to me, really, in Ireland, and they would help them set up and look at premises. And the same kind of business support that exists in the UK, they would help them do that in the country that they have an interest in. So it's really varied, the work that we do in the business growth team.
In terms of financial support for businesses, what financial support and investment opportunities does Innovate UK offer?
There's lots and lots of funding on the wider platform. So Innovate UK, if you go onto the main website, there is an opportunities page which has all the Eureka funding, that kind of support. Again, we could help look at the application forms and help them complete those if that was of interest. But more locally on the business growth team, we have an RTO Catapult grant, which is essentially £15,000 fully funded towards working with a research or a catapult centre. So that may be somebody looking at feasibility studies or prototypes, testing, or even looking at if they've got potential product, but they don't know what kind of material to use. It can literally be any kind of research that a catapult centre can help with. And it would be our job as IGSs to find the best catapult centre to work with and help them complete that application form for funding to get the £15,000 to do an early stage prototype or something like that. And then the IP audits, they're generally speaking £3,000 So you would go to any IP attorney of your choice. We don't have a listing that you have to use. And Innovate UK Business Growth would contribute £2,250 towards that. And the same for cybersecurity audits. And then on the investment side, we have really investment partnerships that we link people that are looking to raise funding. And we also work with partners like the British Bank, we work quite closely with, and other investors in the ecosystem. We would make those introductions so that people can look at fundraising and also critique things like their pitch decks. So if they have a pitch deck, but they wanted one of the members of the team to look over it, we can assist with things like that. So it's just really making sure their applications are the best they can be when they get submitted, I guess, is the takeaway point from the financial support.
Can you share some examples, please, of how Innovate UK has helped businesses secure investment or funding and what the impact of that has been?
Yes, certainly. So there was a company I worked with recently, and that was a manufacturing company predominantly, but their challenge was around systems and technology, and they had various bits of kit, if you like, multiple bits of kit that had different software built within them, and they didn't necessarily all speak to one another. So we did a piece of research with one of the catapults to identify which systems that would work to allow those machines to talk to one another. And then when we were looking at funding that, there was a GMCA fund that allowed them to apply for £400,000 under the debt finance scheme. I helped with the application with that, critique it. We put it in, that got awarded, and now the company can actually go through and implement those systems, move forward, and they're predicted with 8 new jobs, and that will bring new products and services to them. So that enables them to get through their growth and scale up journey that they were anticipating in the first place. And then obviously the RTO Catapult grant, we help several companies access the £15,000 support, and I've done a number of those. It's really connecting with the right catapult, I say, is the most vital bit, I guess, because they all have specialist areas. So you've got advanced manufacturing, nuclear, whatever, digital technologies, there's a digital catapult. So it's about, as well as filling out the applications with the company, it's about accessing the right catapult in the first place. So we're quite successful in the funding landscape.
Where should businesses go as a first point of call to find out about these grants?
Our team covers the whole of the Northwest, so any business based in Cumbria is more than welcome to reach out to myself or go through the contact us page, which I can share with you. And that really gets them assigned to an IGS like myself. And that, I think, is key because there's lots and lots of support out there. So it's about understanding at the earliest opportunity what the business is trying to achieve and then map that out. So it's a very specific plan tailored towards what they want out of the support and how they want to grow the business.
Brilliant. And we'll put that link in the description so people can follow and learn more. The next question I've got here is on innovation, and you might have touched on it already with that manufacturing businesses that you supported. How does Innovate UK help businesses implement innovation effectively?
It really just develops a strategy or a roadmap for the innovation, and that should align with their usual business model, business planning. So it's just really looking at where they are now, where they want to get to, putting some dates towards that, and looking at the wider ecosystem and bringing in support from partners at the right time as well. It's really important. One of the key roles, I guess, of an IGS is to not just work with Innovate UK support, but if it's relevant to bring in a partner at a certain time, like for the project I was talking about with the manufacturing company earlier, brought in Made Smarter at a certain point, because it just gives a more rounded approach and your support can be matched. So some of our grant funding, for example, if Made Smarter had a fund and that required 50% match, we can do that collaboratively. So it works in the best interest of the company. So really it's about doing a roadmap and a support plan for them that keeps them on track and helps them to effectively implement the project.
Have you got any success stories of Cumbrian businesses that have benefited from innovation support?
Do you know, I had a look on the system and there are 7 companies that we've worked with in Cumbria, but I haven't personally worked with them. So I'm not entirely sure what support they got from that. I can share the businesses that we've worked with if that would be helpful, but I don't know the exact detail of what we did with those specific ones. I've only been on the team just coming up for 6 months. So I'm trying to connect more in Cumbria because we don't seem to have reached, the area fully and embedded ourselves. So I am trying, that's one of the purposes of today, really, to make sure that Cumbria businesses are aware of the support.
Yeah, hopefully this podcast will help people learn about what's on offer and kind of the way you've outlined the support that kind of helps them with the strategy and keeping things ticking over will be really interesting to people. Moving on now to further afield, what support does Innovate UK offer to support businesses internationally?
Yeah, there's a large amount of support internationally, and that starts with working in partnership with the EN network, which is the Enterprise Europe network, which I mentioned previously. And that's a platform really to find partners or collaborators overseas. So the platform allows me as an IGS to connect with another IGS in whichever country, predominantly European countries, but we do have it so it's a global offer. So we can reach out globally. There's 65 countries on the platform, and that allows us to make connections, as I mentioned previously, for supply chain, looking at funding, collaborations, anything of that nature. But we also have quite a big offering in global business innovation programs, which we lovingly call GBIPs. And they're focused really on sectors or a focus area. So we've got one, to give you an example, we've got some maritime ones out at the moment, and we have advanced manufacturing to Singapore. So if a business is interested in advancements in that theme, whatever the theme of the call is, an IGS can support them put in an application, and that takes them out to that country. So the Singapore one for advanced manufacturing takes them to Singapore. They can see the technology or advancement, whatever theme it's looking at, they can see that firsthand. And then when they return back to the UK, the IGS would work with them to evaluate what they've seen and learnt while they were out there and to implement those advancements into their business with the innovation plan. When I talked about the strategy earlier, that then goes into, how we're going to implement and advance that into our own companies.
What are the biggest opportunities for Cumbria businesses looking to enter international markets?
So the GBIPs and everything that I'd explained with the EN is open to Cumbria businesses. We cover the whole of the Northwest. So as long as it's in the Northwest region, you can access the support. But there are some specific or regionalised funds or opportunities that come out on the platform. So again, that's why I think it's important to connect with an IGS in the first place, so that when we're doing our scope of the platform every week or so, just looking at what funds are there, we can send you what's most relevant for your business. So there is some out on the platform at the moment for Sellafield, for example, and that would look at local businesses being in the supply chain to them, and the specific calls are there. So we could help them apply for things like that, and also work with the ecosystem, like, the Chamber of Commerce, like Department of Business and Trade. So we do try to collaborate in the local area to offer, whatever need the business has, whether it's international or business growth.
And that GBIP stands for Global Business Innovation Program. Is
It
that
does,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
Well done, yes.
Yeah. So anyone looking for that, just so they know what to put into Google or into the Innovate UK website.
Yes,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah, that looks like a really, really useful, interesting program.
yes, there's a number of them on the platform, and we have GBIPs and BIPs, which is just the business innovation programs. So there's different levels along the international landscape, really, that they can have a look at. And again, I recognise that it can be quite complex to look at those. So an IGS is, well positioned to look at those funds for them and send them what is relevant.
Excellent. And just one final question, Tracy, before I let you get on with your day. What's the one key message that you'd like businesses in Cumbria to take away from the conversation we've had today?
I think it's just really to raise our profile and let them know that innovation support's available to them, and it's funded, and it's there to protect their innovation, to scale the business and to make connections overseas. And if there are specific sectors that are relevant to Cumbria, like nuclear, agri-tech, manufacturing, we have national contact points that we can connect them with, and that's sector specific, so they can receive, very specific advice on those sectors. So it's really just to highlight that the service is there, it's a funded offer, and, would welcome talking to anybody who's got aspirations to grow.
Brilliant. Well, thanks so much for your time today. And that's all been really interesting. And we'll put some links in the description for people to follow and get in touch with yourself about all of these opportunities.
Perfect. Thank you. Thanks for your
Thanks so
time.
much. See you later.
Bye. Bye.